Sarah and Dagmar and myself, our goal is by time you finish this level 1, training the trainers, that if anyone among us have any sickness and disease, by God's grace, they can reverse their sickness and be able, will equip them by God's grace to teach others how to reverse it. We were in Kansas City doing a program just like this. And you know what one lady said to us? She says, excuse me, she says, I have diabetes, I have high blood pressure, I have high cholesterol, I have acid reflux, I'm overweight. Can you guys help me? And this was someone who was taking the trainers program. It's like, physician, heal thyself. So one of the very first thing we found, it is important that we help ourselves before we help the others. I'll tell you guys a story. I was in the Caribbean, and I shared with you guys that my waist used to be did I tell you guys my waist used to be 40 and a half inches? Yes, okay, well, it used to be 40 and a half inches. Cholesterol to the roof, acid reflux, arthritic pain all over, you name it. And what happened, I was in the islands, and you know how our island folks are. They do not, they don't know how to say things tactfully sometimes. So they went to my dad, and because, saints, listen to this, with my big belly and everything, I started teaching the health message because I saw what God did in my life. They went to my dad and said, Mr. Luke, our your big belly son up there do a teach health message. Tell him take care of the big belly first before he come and teach us about health message. And the saints, they made mockery of me so bad. And I'll tell you what I told my dad to tell them. They should have seen the belly before. Because, see, if you take things personal, people will jump on it. But when you don't even pay it no mind, it irritates them. So I say, man, you should have seen the belly before. Boy, I went back home later on. The belly had come down, And, the Lord blessed. They began listening, and they began implementing, and healing began taking place. Am I making sense, dear saints? So, many of you are like, Brother Luke, I don't know if I can start teaching right now. I might be too big. No, go and teach now. You know why I should go and teach now? The saints will keep you straight. Do you guys want to know the amazing thing about teaching this message? You know why by God's grace I've been able not to ever once. Saints, let me tell you something. Since God gave me victory over diet, never once have I compromised by God's grace. Never once. It is not an option. And you know why? Because the saints keep me straight. Because I know in teaching, guess what the saints are going to do? There's always somebody bold in the audience. They're going to come and ask you, Brother Luke, you eat the way you're telling us to eat? I need to answer in the affirmative, yes, I do. And I can tell you the same thing too, that when my meal time comes, if I don't eat on time, I skip that meal until the next meal. I'll give you an example. On Sabbath, I was teaching. I wasn't able to eat on time, so I skipped the lunch meal. Yesterday, we had a meeting with the executive committee. At lunchtime again, skip that meal again. See, it's not an option. So this morning for breakfast, boy, did I enjoy breakfast. Man says I had 4 big mangoes. Amen. Sister Evans, I want to tell you, thank you for those mangoes. Let me tell you something. And I was watching to see how much mangoes the others were eating just to make sure that they didn't overindulge, because I'm coming back for the rest. Okay? Oh, Ella Parks, don't ask for no mangoes. Amen. I know, Ella Parks, you and I were in Canada and we're eating some mangoes, so you try to keep up with me. Don't try and plan my mangoes, Ella Parks. Okay? You have glucose. We're talking, their glucose, it gives us the number basically for diabetes. For your glucose number, that range should be between 65 and 99. The American Diabetic Association will use a number between 70 and 110. But the problem with that number is too high. By the time you hit over 100, you're heading in the wrong direction. And we're going to give that information when we do the diabetes, the disease class. 65 to 99 is that range you want to stay within. I was talking to my wife yesterday, and she was so excited, saints. My wife just had her complete physical done, and she was telling me what all her numbers are. Her B12 level is high, and we don't take supplements. She was all excited. But guess what? There's one thing. Her vitamin D level was low. Dr. Parks, Erica's vitamin D level was 21. And you want to know something, Dr. Parks? We were taking the vitamin D supplement, walking in the sun, but what happened with my wife, she exercised every morning, but guess where she exercised? On the treadmill. All through the winter season, she exercised on the treadmill in the house. I go outside. So now my wife told me, honey, I'm outside sunbathing. She's taking her vitamin D supplement, and she's outside. She's excited because everything else was perfect. But she realized that her vitamin D was low. And we're like, wow. And then her blood sugar was elevated. No, saints, when I say elevated, she's not diabetic, but the range is 65 to 99. Her level was 85. You're like, 85 is elevated? Well, when you're used to the 70s, saints, you understand, when you check your numbers, Sister Evans, you guys have a program called Know Your Numbers, right? When you know your numbers and you see the numbers are going up and your diet has not changed, you ask yourself, what happened? And we found out that, do you know that if you're deficient in vitamin D, it will cause an elevation in the glucose level? Isn't that something? So we know by God's grace, as she bring that vitamin D level up, glucose will come down, even though it's at 85. And 85 is normal. But it's normal to the average person. But to us who practice health reform and understand, we know that her numbers are normally more conservative than that. Am I making sense there? And technically, 85 is like right dead smack in the middle for the most part. Yes, please. Yes, please. No. It depends. If you know the young lady asks, should you take the supplements for vitamin D also? Well, the answer to that question is, if the person is getting adequate amount of sunlight on a daily basis, they need no supplements. But if the person is not getting adequate amount of sunlight, then it is advisable that they do take some form of supplemental vitamin D. Am I making sense there? And I'm going to go into the dosage when I get to that section. Amen? Cholesterol. You have HDL and LDL as well as your triglyceride. You want your triglycerides to be less than 150, and you want your total cholesterol for optimum health to be less than 150, but according to American Heart Association, they say less than 200. But here's what we found. When cholesterol level is at 180 and above, cholesterol begins to attach itself to the arterial wall. Okay, so you want the total cholesterol to be less than what? 150. But now let's separate the HDL and the LDL. For optimum health, you want the total cholesterol to be less than 150 and the triglyceride less than 150. According to the American Heart Association, instead of less than 150 for the total cholesterol, they want to be less than 200. But we know at 180, you still have problem because the cholesterol attaches itself to the arterial wall at 180 and above. Let us stop right here for a minute as they change the tape, and we'll continue on.